Hi there, welcome to the webinar. This is Richie. We're going to kick off in just a few moments' time. In the meantime, do let us know where you're joining from in the chat. I see you already. We've got Antonio joining us from Seville. We got Mustafa from Egypt. I hope there are many more of you from around the world as well. Also, we're going to be doing audience Q&A at the end. So please do familiarize yourself with the Q&A tool. So as well as the chat, you can ask questions in Q&A. We're going to be going through the top voted questions. So even if you don't have a question yourself, please do upvote any other questions that are of interest because they're more likely to get answered that way. All right, wonderful. So far, no one else telling us where they're joining from. Bit of a shame. I'm hoping there are more than just two of you in here. But we will be kicking off in just a few moments' time. Also, our guest has just sort of recently changed jobs to move beyond telecoms industry. So if you've got some questions that aren't telecom specific, anything related to data or AI, we're going to consider that on topic. So please do ask any questions that are of interest. All right, so we've got a few people. We've got Bill Long, one of our regulars joining from Philly. We've got Gifty, that's a good name, joining from Ghana. We got Rosette from Toronto. And yeah, welcome all. Always nice to see. Oh, and Lisa from Italy as well. Wonderful. So great to have you all here. It's a minute past. I'm always eager to kick off. So let's do this. Right, now then. The big hype around generative AI is that you can use it to make absolutely anything better. Now, whether or not you believe this message, I feel like it's pretty motivational. However, it's not very helpful for putting together an AI strategy. So what constitutes a sensible plan very much depends on what industry you're working in and what you're trying to achieve. So today we're going to take a look at the telecoms industry. So we're going to hear about some use cases, we're going to hear about some success stories, and you're going to get a roadmap for implementing some sort of sensible strategy and tactics. Our guest is Ayesha Temuri. She's an AI strategy consultant. We've got a bit of feedback there. Ayesha is an AI strategy consultant at Accenture. Ayesha is an award-winning data leader. She's got 20 years of experience managing teams in the telecoms industry and data industry. So previously, she was enterprise data advisor at Telenor. She was also chief data officer at Data Esenciale España, and she also run data teams at Ericsson and Capgemini. And Ayesha was also recognized as an AI 150 leader in 2024 by Constellation Research. So highly qualified guest. Welcome, Ayesha.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you, Richie, for this reflection. I am glad to be invited at this webinar today.
Wonderful. And also, just as we were chatting before, you said that back in the day, you originally learned to use Python and SQL on DataCamp. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's right. This was the time since I am very, very much telecom. It's not that I'm changing job from telecom and consulting. It's I'm a telecom and I'm also consulting at the same time. But there was a time when telecom was converging to IT. Back in 2016-17, I decided to just take on a career towards data science. And that was the time I just got admission in my master's in data science at University of Bologna. And University of Bologna made it mandatory for all the students to go through the DataCamp courses. And that was Python, Python Notebook, and Python Data Science Roadmap, and SQL, and all these things. So this was where my journey started. And I'm very much highly, I would feel honored to be just speaking in DataCamp. And this is where I actually started learning AI from. So this is a two-way thing. Before this, I was learning from you, and now you are learning from me in some way.
Absolutely, it works very well there. I mean, yeah, your career's gone bounds in the last decade, so yeah, I'm hoping we'll take some credit for that at DataCamp. Anyway, I'll let you get started. Please take it away.
So can you see my screen? Yeah.
Not just yet. If you want to reshare now, and then yeah, I'll let you know when we can see it.
Yeah, you can see the screen now.
Perfect. That's it. We're good to go.
First of all, thank you very much and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure which part of the world you guys are, but we are going to just discuss about the stories. And we are today, in this webinar today, we will be just minting stories. And trust me, it is just the storytelling thing. And from the start till the end of this journey, until from end to start of the journey, we will be discussing different stories, and we will be just talking about different experiences together. And this is how this whole webinar will look like. So let me begin this with my introduction. I believe Richie has done a very good introduction, and this is exactly about me. However, I would like to just emphasize you all on my punchline that my mantra and my belief is that I can create a positive impact through my work in AI. And this is the journey where I started back from telecom time, 20 years in telecom, and then consulting till telecom. So I have been thinking that AI can deliver some value in our life, but this is what we need to just envision it together today. This is the agenda. Agenda is about dot connecting. Like I told you, we will be just minting stories, and that's it. And at the same time, we will be just discussing about generative AI transformation in telcos. The part 3 will be model prediction and delivering value, because we in data would like to know how these models work and what is the right model in what kind of transformation initiatives. Then, since the webinar is particularly focused towards telco industry, we will be discussing about telco in general as well as in specific terms. Then we will be just discussing about why people are investing in AI and big companies are collaborating in partnership for the AI factory and AI kind of initiative in the real world. The final thoughts will be very much connected to 1 to 6, and that is about dot connecting. So this is the dot connecting. If I tell you, these are the different dots that we consider in generative AI transformation for a telco. So let me begin by all those stories together, and then we can see how these stories could be connected. And some of these stories are connected, and some of these stories are standalone stories. Some stories could be connected more than once. And this is how the whole transformation journey will look like. And I promise by the end of this webinar, you would be able to apply this knowledge to your organization in telcos. And this is what my purpose is today. So the first story is about algorithm, and that's where telecommunication is already working on quite some times. The second part is AI rethinking. The story 3 is goal setting. Story 4, role of a CTO. Then story 5 is somewhere lost. I can see story 6 is AI adoption mechanism. Then story 7, intercepting with technology, AI, Gen AI, Agent AI, AI agents, and all these things. Story 8 is LLMs in telcos. And then story 9, building your first LLM. Story 10, why build AI and why we need to build up this whole thing. What is the purpose? Then story 9 is open innovation in telcos. Story 10, challenges in building your own foundation model. Story 11, AI native telco realization. And 12 is model and prompting telco customers. And 13 is logical architecture design. Story 16, 15 is adoption of an operating model. 16 is AI native telco. So we will touch upon every part of this story during this webinar. At the same time, in the last slide, we will be discussing how they are connected together, how they are connected more than once. But that is for sure. There is no linkage from 1 to 16. Maybe the first story could be the story number 3, that's goal setting, and the second one is 16 or 15. So there is no linkage. They are just stories at the moment. So in data and AI, we talk a lot more in terms of data storytelling and AI storytelling and generative AI transformation. These stories, now I've consolidated these stories together towards the 5 areas. First of all, my approach. My approach, I told you, is the storytelling from connecting the dots till dot connection and sequencing. Number two is marriage of AI and telco and how strong this relationship is. And some of those stories will come within this main heading. Now the third chapter of this whole thing is AI story from model prediction to value. And here we will be discussing about some real world use cases, how the AI enablement has been done, how the generative AI has been done so far in telcos, and how successful we all are in achieving that goal. Then we will be definitely connecting the dots and then consolidation of these conclusion and my final words. Her first story is the telecommunication algorithm. Algorithm in telecommunication has been quite long, and all telecom companies, as I have gone through the telecom different phases from 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and 6G, I've seen that technology changes are very much reflected and lived in the blood of the telecom companies. So when we talk about these days, there are AI and Gen AI transformation everywhere in telcos. There is a fixed wireless access, there is a cloud native, there is self-automation, AI-driven transformation, next generation connectivity, and all these. But at the same time, whether AI is beneficial for telcos or not, that's very, very much important where we are using this AI into our organization. The most critical and important area is whether the price changes and the ARPU is affecting AI and whether the customer is willing to pay for this AI transformation. And this is where many telco organization has taken a slow move in not to adopt AI and Gen AI model so much, because this is where if we are not getting the pricing incentive from these AI transformation and investment, then definitely the end objective is not achieved. We will see in our use cases. Then there is the same way where I ended my previous slide. This was whether AI for telco or telco for AI is a useful combination or not. In my opinion, since I'm coming from this background and I took this transformation from hardcore telco, telecommunication engineer, towards AI and generative AI, and I'm very, very, very much fond of generative AI and AI myself. I am propagating AI in the heart and blood of an organization that's telco. I see that many organization in telecommunication is just still seeing AI as a buzzword and not beyond that. When applying and adopting AI, it takes a very difficult use case or difficult case study to convince the upper management what AI benefit it will bring. Sometimes they are tagged with the revenue, sometimes they are tagged with the internal efficiency, sometimes they are tagged with something else. But that is for sure. AI is needed and AI is useful for a telco organization. Till the time it is not in the heart and the blood of an organization, we cannot envision the goal of delivering a AI native telco or something. So in that case, what are those different use cases that we can use in AI, in telecommunication? I have divided them into the 4 areas, particularly and it's not on the priority and sensitization in that case. One is the commercial and the customer use cases. The customer use cases usually occurs at the time where like AI native chatbots, AI chat GPT revolution, there's some of those bots that customer services are using in. Then there is a second part that's network automation, in which we can just make maximum benefit through by automating our network and by self-organizing networks or artificial intelligence used for the antenna elevation and all those RF design and network parameters setting. Then there is also a contact center where we are using Copilot, NPS survey analysis, and all these. There is intensive work has been done on the churn and predictive propensity analysis in telco for quite some times. And now generative AI is doing autonomous networks. And these autonomous networks are helping the telcos to just do the things autonomously without much more human intervention. Then on the journal side, or internal improvement, because data is everywhere, HR, finance, product teams, B2B segments, and all these, they are also part of the value chain. We cannot say that this IoT team could not benefit from AI, or this part is not. But the thing is, since the organization are always revenue centric and revenue intensive, they are always seeing AI investment to be tagged to the revenue immediately, which is not the case at this point in time. So let's just see and deep dive more into the story, how this enablement of AI will look like in telco. If I talk about the stories only, and I don't know, I never tell you that how you can just build these stories together and develop a roadmap for implementation. All my talking will become a buzzword or something. So I would like to just divide this whole thing, that how you can, because this was my promise in the start of this webinar, that whatever you have learned in this webinar, you are able to apply this knowledge to your telecom company from the day one, from the next day, from next Monday or something. So we can just have this roadmap, and this roadmap is divided into the 7 steps. And I believe you will relate to me when I'm just going through the steps of this transformation. The step number 1, first and the foremost, and very, very important in that part, is what is the CSP's posture for deployment of generative AI? Whether they are ready, whether the senior management is feeling the need, and why it is they are ready. Because if it is not part of the strategy for the next year, and AI is not been considered as an important part for strategy enablement, then AI enablement standalone could not work. So it's very important that the leadership team should understand that AI need to be part of the strategy. So this is, you need to understand the overall company's posture for deployment of generative AI. And this is the first step towards this transformation. Once you get the buy-in from your CEO, CTO, CDO, all these CFO, and all these board members, and all these people who are going to invest in this initiative, you need to reimagine the technology function, because the AI is quite intensively worked under IT and technology in the phase 1, where you need to understand what is the existing infrastructure at telco, because the older architecture of is not very much rich for the enablement of AI, because AI required some kind of fine tuning, or like if I talk about LLMs only, we need to understand that the legacy architecture need to be modernized so that we are able to just apply AI to every part of it. So the IT infrastructure need to be first of all looked at. Architecture design is the most important thing. We need to see what kind of tools and platforms we have already deployed, and how these platforms could be converted into the logical architecture in a manner that we can just able to just fine tune and learn those models from scratch. Then at the same time, when we are doing this, if you look at the architecture, and I'm a very much an architecture person, so you can see that there are sources of data on one side, and and these sources are the producers of data, and there are consumers of data on the customer end. When we are designing the architecture, we are very much into understanding what tool is going to do what part. So if you see the data science concept in this, there is a Dharma concept on work on 9 areas, and which require us to work on the overall architecture in a manner that every part is taken care of. And one of the most important part is the data center modernization that required to be done as a part of architecture modernization. Infrastructure need to be able to equip in a manner that we are. So if I would say, and I would not be wrong in saying this, that you need to completely revamp and modernize the architecture towards the logical architecture part. At the same time, the real-time data analytics required, because telecom data, if you see, everything is changing every time. So when you right from making a call to a customer, right from using the data on your cell phone, everything is changing. So it could be a time series data analytics or something. This kind of changing data in data science field has timestamps involved with it. And these timestamps need to be addressed through the data science model, which are recurrent, and they keep on, and neural nets, which are recurrent. And these data science model require intensive capabilities on the infrastructure side. At the same time, we cannot just build the pattern from the historical data in the data center. We need to have the real, fresh, and able data that should be able to just build those analytics and insight for AI. Then the third part, and the most, and one of the important part, is that you need to understand, in as a part of the strategy, that use case approach is one of the approach. So when you build up those use cases, when I was working as an enterprise data advisor in Telenor, we identified every use case in every department of the organization at the enterprise level. There were initially about 107 use cases, and these use cases, because the use case for me as a EDO was to just put everything inside for the whole strategy transformation. It's 107 seems to be a big number, but how we just made those 107 use cases were primarily data engineering, data science, data analytics, because data doesn't require one or two use cases to be able to just envision the goal of generative AI. You need to just start from the architecture modernization, existing, how the data center has been designed, how data is been placed and managed into the organization. Then there is another pillar of transformation, that's innovation, how the existing data science team is working in the organization, and how different, how harmonized these efforts are into the organization in a manner that we are able to apply data in a centralized location, or even if it is not centralized, they are collaborating together. Now, step number 4 is we need to just take the maximum out of the existing infrastructure. Like in my experience, we were using for data visualization and data virtualization different tools. And these tools sometimes in the IT organization are out of life, or they are no more needed, or maybe they are unable to just build up the capabilities on the cloud platform or anything. So you need to just work very closely what kind of tools you are using for customer value management, for segmentation, for data virtualization, visualization. Like in this case, we were using Click for data virtualization and visualization, data visualization. And for visualization, we were using Generative. So all these tools need to be very carefully picked. At the same time, we need to see that they are up to date. So the first step would be, whatever tools and platform you have deployed in your scenario, you need to see that they are able to envision the long-term goal. And if you need to upgrade them, to license them to that level, you need to start it as the phase 1. And this is also one of the use case, in my opinion. Then we have upgrade your technology architecture, orchestrate how these things are working together. Because if I see, we have 5 pillars of transformation. One is data architecture, then data management part. Then there is a third one is data innovation function that's already there in many organizations. And that comes under the CMO organization in telcos. That's data science team is working on the product development on all these, and they are all handling data, and this is primarily customer data. Then there is a resource alignment done at enterprise level for every team. Once the resource alignment and these use case alignment has been done, we need to just secure investment, and we need to make sure that we can just be able to pre-train or maybe train a new foundation network for foundation model for our organization. So starting from the first LLM is very important. But this first LLM required 3 areas to be very critical areas. One is the infrastructure redesign. The second part is the cost part, because naturally organization, even though they are part of its strategy, but they don't know how to cost it. And it is a challenge for CTO organization to cost it, because the ecosystem is so big We don't know which tool is going to benefit us in the long run. And there are so many companies, there's so much confusion going on in the AI world and AI field. So the ecosystem is not like a typical telco organization. Data ecosystem, I'll show you in the next slide how this operating model will work. And once it is there, you can just begin from. So these are the different steps, and we will come back on that. This is part of this transformation when I talk about the pillars, 5 pillars, and one of the pillar is the innovation function. So innovation comes in when we have data, we have real world, real-time data also available, but we don't know which model will help us in for what. So there are different, because naturally data science is not a field that we can go and just pick up anything and start doing anything. So we have to see that there are different models. Before this, there were language AI, predictive modeling. Telecom companies were using churn for a very long time. Now there are personalized AI, because now the chatbot is able to just give you a personalized knowledge on what the customer is looking and where it is. Then some data science model are able to ensemble that they are like, it is for next best of segmentation, customer lifecycle value management, real-time data analytics, and all these things are making it possible. But the last 2 columns, if you can see, the AI agents and agentic AI, it's a very different science. It is the complete transformation once again. And this is why I'm saying if you don't start from something, you will not be able to start, because there are so much transformation, so much changes in the world of AI and generative AI that you need to catching up with this rapid transformation is a real challenge for telcos. If I would like to just talk a little bit about AI agent and agentic AI. This looks to be very, very similar, but they are not. AI agents are examples of AI agent. Let me see, are autonomous vehicle, workflow automation systems, and virtual assistants. They are very much there in terms of use cases in telcos. They are agentic AI, and we will discuss one of the use case in our next section. However, agentic AI is a very different concept. And in generative AI transformation, I need to talk about both these, because when we were back in 2022 and 24 time, this was not there. And now you have you have data, you have a model, right model to work on it. Once you have done that prediction, you don't know what to do. So prediction is done, customer has been given a best offer, and that's it. But this will not serve the purpose for humans in the long run. Agentic AI means that they are more actionable and autonomous. If we have to take human out of the loop, then we don't need to still be just working on the reinforced learning kind of a stuff and then going back, giving human feedback and coming back again. Autonomous networks, agentic AI works on autonomous. They are more action oriented. They plan, reason, adapt, and coordinate multiple activities together. And then you don't need anything from your side, no feedback, because they are going to predict and learn from their own feedback and provide you the solution. This is a relatively new technology, and it is very, very useful for telcos these days. And this is where, and my next slide will just cover, because if human need to be in the loop or not. When I was, this is again my personal story about, I was driving Tesla from Malaga to Barcelona, and the car was autonomous car, as you know, Tesla is. And it was driving on its own, but still I was awake the whole journey for 7-8 hours. And I want to be involved. I felt ignored when the autonomous vehicle was doing everything on its own. And the reason for the human to be involved in the overall process is I wasn't feeling secure. I was thinking it's navigating on its own. It was making those cruise control with the fellow vehicles on the road. It was doing everything for me. But on my inner side, I was so used to be involved in the driving process that I was not allowing this vehicle to just drive on its own and take me to the destination. I was still awake. I want to be involved. So in this way, I was ignored, and I don't want to be ignored. So humans want to be part of the AI transformation. And this is the most important part, that we need to identify certain roles in AI. I have to be involved, but I should not be involved by driving the car. I should be involved somewhere else. And this is where we have identified different roles in AI. These roles are not the typical telecommunication roles. Like you can see that these roles come from, some of them are generative AI roles, some are the AI, typical AI, some are the data scientist role. So you can say model manager, the manager who can tell you what is the exact kind of model to be used in which scenario, prompt engineers, AI developers, and all these things. These are the different roles. And then there is a role of a chief data officer. That's very much there. So the organization in telcos don't have CDO at the moment, or chief AI officer at the moment. I was in this conference last year in London, and we were, all thought leaders were discussing about AI and the role of a CDO or chief AI officer. And everybody was looking at, if it is a chief AI officer, in the future there will be chief generative AI officer and then another officer. So it's not possible to have this. So every technology with every chief officer to be part of it. So the right approach is the data officer need to understand what AI is going on, generative AI, the future innovation, and all these things. And because he is the custodian of AI and the heart of AI, the heart of this organizational stuff is the data. And if it is not the right and the quality data and the real-time data, the goal of a generative AI or AI transformation will not be envisioned. Some specific use cases we have involved in Telenor, some BCG for identifying the use cases in telco. There were 7 use cases we built up with them, and they were related to 7 areas. And some of them I've discussed already in the previous slide. And I would like to just spend more time on the last slide, because that's related to this. So the use cases out of all these, just one point in this is, in some cases, traditional AI does better than the generative AI itself. And in some cases, not even, but both of them are working hand in hand together. So it's not necessary that generative AI will be giving us the results in every use case. And sometimes we need to just blend in together with the traditional AI. There are examples given in the previous slide, so I don't want to go back to this, and you may just see that this slide show later, so you can read them through. So I have just left 2 cases for you. One is about the customer end, and the second part is about the network side. So one customer end use case required me to just develop a centralized system in which it is the customer services use case, in which the customer services have different type of data, text data, call data, social media data, and they need to just build up a prediction for the customer, for the new customer, what to do next. And they need to come back as an agent, how to just deliver. So in telecommunication terms, we call it, and in data science term, we call it personalization journeys. So this is how this personalization journey will look like. We have generative AI, we have 4 kind of data sets. This, the whole loop is generally considered like this. Customer is sending the data, and it is going through the AI agent, which you can see in the middle, and all kind of data. And in the end, you can see this is the telco infrastructure for all this. Like we have intelligent agents, and we have data and AI platforms to be there. And this is how this prediction is made, and the customer is just using the whole network and whole system autonomously. This is the personalization. And generative AI is a very good case for personalization journey, which we were doing manually in telcos and data science field. When I talk about different kind of data, it is a multimodality concept is a bit confusing to you in the previous slide. So I need to make you understand about what multimodality in generative AI. And multimodality is something which has made this generative AI very popular concept. Because before this, you have sent the instruction and you get the result. This was how the typical data science model will work. When we have Multimodal generative AI, we have a pre-trained data model already there. We have instruction in the form of text, data, video, or any kind of data, structured, unstructured, supervised, unsupervised, and it's going through this through a generative AI agent, and generative AI agent is going to give us the exact result, and that this is a horse or anything. And now there is another loop after that, which we will discuss in the autonomous networks. So this is a network use case, and this is about the autonomous network. And if you would like to just understand more about this case, there is a paper written by the next big thing about the large language model for telcos. And this is this case I pick up from that paper, which was very quite interesting to me. And I then dig out into what telecom companies are using and how they are doing it at the moment. So what I find out is that there is a multimodality in telcos already. We have radio signals coming from different. We have a multimodality model LLM, if we can place it in between. And then we can just deliver some result in the form of intelligent sensing. The same concept is being used by closed loop automation in telcos for quite some times. And this is how the closed loop automation works. It works on two different areas. One is network design and the other is optimization. And by the use of autonomous agent, autonomous networks, we have self-attention networks working on the transformer architecture, and they can learn and unlearn, and they can build up something that we can do the network design and network operation by the use of generative AI. And this LLM is called AGI, is artificial general intelligence. And this is a concept since telecom company in closed loop automation has been doing from 2016 and 17 time. Now it's been now integrated with LLMs and generative AI, and it's been becoming more useful. So now moving towards the adoption of AI, we have discussed about the roadmap. We have discussed about infrastructure changes that is required. We have discussed about two typical use cases. One is autonomous networks and closed loop automation in network side for network design and network management. The second use case is about personalization for the customer data. Adoption model will look like a very clear, use cases, and there were, like I told you, very clear operating model. So operating model will work on, I call it, it's not here in this, but I built up this model on the horizontal way of working, in which this AI and these teams are intersecting with the existing C-level teams together, who are the vertical organization, and they are working hand in hand together towards the AI native telco kind of a thing. Now we have also we have discussed about 5 pillars of transformation. However, 3 artifacts we haven't discussed, and these are people, process, and transformation, people, process, and technology. If the culture of the organization is not ready for generative AI, we would be unable to envision this goal. At the same time, if the HR team, finance team, and everything is not coming to you for their use case, for solving their problem, like HR need to be just conducting the talent acquisition by the use of AI, and that the finance would be doing all those credit scoring or invoicing on all these by the use of AI, only then. But what is important for humans to understand, that there are new roles for them, rather than just fixing their energies on building one invoice or anything, which can be easily done through the sales robot or finance or invoicing robot by the use of generative AI. And that's quite quick, and automating and speed is very, very important these days. This is, since I emphasized from the start that we need to invest in AI. So I have picked up 2 stories recently adopted by the world. That's about Accenture and Telstra partnership in Australia. That's about $600 million JV that they are advertising and working on. So they are spending so much on the AI telco for Telstra, Accenture, and they are working together for this. So this is a recent thing that's happening. The other is during my time, Telenor has built up an AI factory, and their Capgemini has helped them out in this initiative. They have now new customers coming in. So they are the real world examples of significance of AI, how AI can be benefiting for the organization, and what the teams are now investing quite intensively on the generative AI and AI capability building. Now coming to my last slide, that's about connecting the dot that we have discussed about the dots in the start. And you can see, I try to just given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but somehow when you are trying to connect these stories together, you may come up with different experience. And for the cloud native and AI native and fine tuning and all these things to come up together, let's just go through it one by one. First of all, the first step would be the goal setting. The organization need to set a very clear goal. Then the role of CDO, that's two. And the CDO is somebody who would be responsible in the organization to take up all this AI and generative AI initiatives. He has to come up with the operating model with the right skill set, right training of the resources, so that organization can just bear this whole fabric of AI and generative AI transformation. Then the speed, quick. You need to just come up with your first LLM ASAP. So the stories 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 are building up your first LLM, which is quite easy. If I can start doing it my own personal LLM on my mobile data, I can go to Gemini. I can try building my own agent. It is very simple and it is user friendly for people. So if you are sitting in a telco company, you have an advantage over normal people that you can just do those experimentation on this data that you already have. And then once you build up your first LLM, you will start building up more and adding on more use cases. Then you are able to just show it to your management and build up and start getting the investment on logical architecture design and then model prompting and all these things. But at the same time, the cultural transformation required team need to be equipped with the right skill set and right learning to just go ahead with it. Then we have some of the very, very critical areas that need to be considered, that whenever we just move one step ahead in this, we are being intercepted with another technology. And that's about story number 8. Because when we were doing something, it is also my own story, when we were doing something with the data science model, random forest or XGBoost or all these models that we were using, then came in the AI transformation, then came in the generative AI. So this code is no more needed by me to be learned. So now there are prompt engineers who can easily use generative AI to just write the code, implement the code, and do everything autonomously. So this is a benefit. So you need to be aware with the new technology and start applying and implementing. And change is very, very important. And this is the right time for this change. My last slide would be about the lesson learned and what we have discussed. For the telco, the clear message is wait is not an option. Wait is not an option for AI. If you keep on waiting, you will lose the opportunity and you will not be able to catch up, because the speed is very critical. And speed and scalability comes with speed. If you can catch up, if you are ready for speed and if you are ready to gear up, you can only just do the scaling at the later stage. Otherwise, the companies who are investing and started working on it, maybe they fail and they will reinvent something new, and then fail and then reinvent something new. They will be still having some experiences to apply those AI stories. If you don't start something and you think that it's just a buzzword, it will eliminate everything in telcos. Then it's eliminating the roles, it's eliminating the coding, and it's eliminating many things in the telco algorithmization. It's eliminating the data science models. So if you don't learn, or if you don't just jump into it, you will not able to catch up with this competition. Then there is a 10-20-70 rule, and that's disruptive tech. You need to start from in AI. It's very important that you need to just pick up an elephant, not picking up flies. So you need to work on something bigger and broader. And this is the same thing that we do in our data science model. Every data science model that is coming up with a huge data set will give us better prediction, than the model that are working on a small. And this is where the privacy and security also comes in. And this is where the biases in AI also comes in. Then technology and foundation that we discussed about infra part, people and business transformation, that's 70% of it, because naturally it's not like Telsa example that it's going to do something on its own. Human need to be just build something, some transformation in themselves to make this happen. And in the end, I will make sure that I will disclose with the statement that wait is not an option. And this is the time, rather than only working on in AI on the network focus side, we need to be more customer focused. And this is where the revenue will also come in future. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ayesha. That was very cool stuff. I enjoyed that a lot. All right, so we're going to go to audience questions in a moment. So if you've not written your questions down yet, please do write them in the Q&A section now. In the meantime, I've got a couple of questions for you, Ayesha. So I love that phrase you had at the end there about you've got to pick up an elephant, not pick up flies. That's a very cool phrase. So I guess there's a tricky thing. So some of the things you mentioned were like very simple. It's like, okay, we're going to do some prompt engineering. Some of them were like, okay, we're going to use AI to optimize our telco network, which sounds like a very big, that's the elephant, right? It's something, a really big project. How do you reconcile like the speed of like just getting something accomplished and having like big projects with like big return on investment? How do you go about like weighing these choices of what to do?
For this is not an easy answer, but I will try to answer it in this manner that yes, there should be some starting point. Like I said, that just make your first LLM. Why I said that make your first LLM when you don't know anything? If you don't make your first project, you will not fail. And if you will not fail, you will not learn. And if you will not learn, you will not just stand up again. And this is not the time that you can see others to just make something happen for you. It's not a kind of a first mover advantage or something. Everybody has to just go through it. Otherwise, AI is going to eliminate everything in it. About the question, yes, we have, this is my own experience that first we need to convince the upper management for investment in AI. That is the most important and critical part for anybody. It's still the time it is not part of the strategy initiative. AI will not be able to just do miracles and wonders. At the same time, people should not see it only as a buzzword. They should see it that it is a transformational and applicable technology. It's not something that, yes, AI is just a chat GPT or perplexity where I can get the answer. In future, agents will be talking to agents and the business models will completely change. It will not be the same business model that we are using that, okay, I'm a customer and you are a vendor and we are just talking to each other. There will be agents talking to agents in future. So we need to just open up our mindset towards new technology, new way of working, new way of looking at the things, and new business models.
I've seen a lot of guests when I'm sort of asking the question about like what should you do, they're like, oh, you need to plan what your use case is going to be very carefully, think about like what the return investment is going to be. And I was like, oh, planning is hard work. I just want to dive in and build something. So I really like this approach that you talk about. It's just like, just try doing stuff. You're going to get feedback on whether it works or not. When you got something new, then, you know, just dive in and get some experience, and that's going to benefit you. So yeah, I love that approach. All right. Let's go to some audience questions because there are quite a few questions already, and we have got 10 minutes left. So this first question comes from Antonio. So Antonio says, what's your view about the reliability of these systems integrating generative AI? So there are problems with hallucinations, inaccurate responses, and do you have any advice on how to go about monitoring things and using observability tools?
This is, again, this is a critical issue. And this is something that comes up with biases in AI. That's another talk that I did some times ago. And this is primarily because these systems and platforms are not made for generative AI capabilities. And they need to be just worked on the hallucination and all these, because whenever the new data set has been there, these systems need to be reinvented again. So innovation function in telco is therefore very, very important. And this is where this observability part comes in, which is operationalizing the whole thing. And these agentic AI that we have done before in the slide, they can provide some pretty better idea about how these autonomous networks will be working and how to reduce the hallucination, because the quality of data is very, very critical. In telcos, fortunately, because I've also worked with the other industries like insurance and banking and retail, where there is a quality, unstructured data set is more. But in telcos, fortunately, we have a very structured data, knock data, and whenever we are trying to predict something, the quality of data can be managed some way or the other through these platforms. So you need to work on building up a architecture or logical framework in a manner that the architecture would be able to just design in. This is a design issue. Your question is completely related to a design of an architecture. And if we have done the right design, we won't be able to just have these issues.
Yeah, so if you've got some sort of critical situation where you absolutely have to have the right answer, then you're going to want to make sure you've tested things thoroughly and you've got the right architecture, and you really do need to think things through carefully. If it is using like some generative AI to write your marketing copy, then it's probably less critical that you get things perfect. So yeah, it's going to depend on the use case, but I like the idea of just really thinking things through. Okay, next question comes from Robinson. So Robinson says, what is the best practices for managing AI human handoffs and customer interaction to build trust and maintain satisfaction? Okay, yes, when you've got customer facing AI, you've got a human in the loop there. So AI doing something, human doing something. How do you manage the two working together?
There is a concept in data science that's called reinforced learning. When the reinforced learning is there, the agent just build up some prediction and it goes back to human. They provide their feedback. And then after the feedback, this is improved. And then it goes back into the agent, and then it makes another prediction. In this way, the quality is improved day by day, and the end result will be more transparent and more accurate and authentic for organizations. So this is quite useful in retail industry and all these. So we can have reinforced learning by human feedback, RLHF. You can just Google this thing up and you will come up with this kind of involvement. But humans, some kind of involvement is needed to just check the quality and trust of this data.
Okay, yeah, I like the shout out to reinforcement learning there. It's kind of the unloved middle child of machine learning, in between like supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Everyone forgets about reinforcement learning. Very, very cool technique that I think more people should learn about. And I do like that.
And I would like to add here, when I was doing this course with DataCamp, there was an example for reinforced learning in which you tell your child not to do something, and then you tell him that these are the policies and these are the things that you should not be doing. So this is how the reinforced, it is the third part of one is supervised learning and second unsupervised, and third is policy-based learning, and that's the reinforced learning. You tell him that these are the rules of the game, but these Gen Z children are not up to these reinforced learning. So this example that was there in the books for data science, it is good, but not on Gen Z for sure.
Not on Gen Z, okay. Yeah. Policy, no candy if you don't tidy your room. All right, nice. So yeah, the other important thing from that, from what you're saying, was about having feedback loops. So if you get a bad answer, you want to have some kind of way of like changing your process. Then if you get a good result, you want to make sure that stays. All right. So,
and I also like to add one more thing. In organization, in enterprises, this is good if I'm doing and trying to learn my own LLM. But in enterprises where the processes are too slow and the approval process takes time, you need to have a right governance framework. So data governance framework, if it is there, operating model, if it is there, then you need to know that how humans will be just working together. You need to just make those policies and rules from the start, and they should be part of data governance function within the organization. Unfortunately, people don't see data governance function as a very critical and important function. But these quality issues that the audience has just built it up, they can always be catered and taken care of if there is a right governance function in the organization.
Absolutely, yeah. Governance is incredibly important, and actually, I think that might tie in nicely to this next question from Bill. So, Bill is asking about: suppose your boss is a bit AI hesitant. How do you pitch your new AI use case? So, yeah. How do you persuade your boss this is going to be safe and this is going to bring value and all that kind of stuff?
This is not your question only. This is a question of every person who would like to change the world. And this is the same situation you go through. It's not only the boss, it is the whole organization that will not be very much ready for the innovation. So when you go to your boss, maybe your boss is convinced, okay, go ahead with the data science initiative. And when you try to just ask the teams to just do the right training, they are not ready for training. They said that they are too much involved most of the time in the day-to-day activities, and they don't feel the need like you are feeling the need for this. So the boss has to be by your side, and you need to be sometimes playing the policing role in making these initiatives work in the organization, at the same time collaborating the resources together. And this is why I said pick the elephant, because if elephant is always standing out, those flies that you are doing in the organization, they are not standing out. They are just being good initiatives, but they are not being seen by everybody as something that's important and that need to be done. So when I am trying to convince my boss, first of all, I believe strongly that I'm convinced, because if I'm not convinced strongly on this initiative, how can I convince the person who is sitting on the other side? Most of the time when you are presenting your whole stories about AI and all these things, bosses and the board members are least interested, because it tick to them that maybe we are asking for more budgets and all these things. Not all the AI initiative require budgets. Not every initiative, because many open source, open telco, open organization are there. Many AI initiative can be done through intent, passion, and by the force that yes, you can bring change in the organization. And that's my mantra. I can bring positive change in the world by my work, because still people criticize AI as something that has disrupted negatively. It's not disrupting negatively. It's bringing very good change in the world. And I'm advocate for that.
Okay, yeah. So I like that you're probably gonna get asked about about what the costs are gonna be, and I guess presumably how is this gonna benefit? Like, are you gonna make some money, or are you gonna contribute to some organizational goals? This is stuff you want to prepare,
The
right?
bosses are always agitating it, even if it is not cost. It's not about cost at the moment. It's about intent to do something different. It's a change management project in a way. So when you are making change or when you are trying to innovate, people are very much happy and comfortable doing their old way of working. But now with these organizations and with these investment, we can see world is changing. World is investing on AI. World is feeling the need to be there for all these things. So without the whole intent, it's not about budgeting all the time. It's about making feeling that this change is needed in this point in time.
Okay, so I guess related to that, the change management aspect, and going back to if someone's AI hesitant, you're probably going to want to talk to them about risks and making sure you've understood these are the possible
Trust.
risks. We've thought
Yes.
about how to deal with them. Are there any other things what else might your boss say no to? So there's costs or risks or data privacy. Are we going to be leaking
Everything,
information? Yeah,
everything,
you got to deal with
everything.
security, privacy, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you've thought through all the possible problems.
Every day I go through this.
All right. We got time for one last question. It's got to be a quick answer, but this one's telecom specific, so let's go for it. So, how can telecoms leverage 5G and edge computing to reduce latency? Basically, you want to do real time fancy stuff. What do you have to do? How do you go faster? Basically.
Basically, generative AI can do wonders in edge computing part and all this, because actually telecom companies, 5G is an advantage to generative AI. 5G has some capabilities that not every organization can build up. So the edge is actually working very nicely on agents and AI automation. So this data from edge and 5G is very, very critical and can be optimized very nicely with the use of generative AI capabilities that we have. So 5G and edge computing and these IoT data, these two things are very much very, very important in the agentic AI part of AI.
Yeah, actually, I'm regretting answering that question with only like a minute left. That's a whole hour webinar in itself. How do you do real-time computing? We do have a very good episode of Data Framed on that on real-time computing. Probably too late for linking, so you have to go look for it on the site. But with that, we are at time. Before you all dash off, I want to say next week we've got 2 great sessions for you. So on Monday, I know we don't normally do a session on Monday, but next Monday there is a code along on doing object-oriented programming with Java. And then on Thursday, we've got another sort of session on how do you do AI transformation. It's an example from AXA, the insurance company. So talking about like how they've trained all their staff to be competent in AI and put it into practice. A lot of the stuff that Ayesha's just been talking about in a slightly different industry. All right. So with that, thank you once again, Ayesha. That was very, very cool stuff. I very much enjoyed that.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful. And thank you to everyone in the audience who asked a question. Thank you to everyone who showed up today. I hope to see you all again soon. All right. Goodbye.
See you then. See you. Take care.